folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the beautiful landscape of Scotland. Today for this one I've come out the back of Edzell and I'm kind of heading one of the wee back roads to Fettercairn. Glen Esk's kind of up that general direction, but I'm coming to document a piece of history never seen on the channel before, and it's an amazing old croft and it's kind of in the middle of the hills here and it's away from any of the main roads, and it's a croft and a bit of history that we've never documented before on the channel, and judging from the map it looks like a fair size of a place. So I think I need to go to this mud track up ahead on the left and then punch along that road. The old croft is actually called Bonsagart. I had the phone at the ready there folks so I could remember the name of it, and on the map it does look like a fair size of a place, but it looks like it's been abandoned way before like the 1800s and stuff. The map I'm looking at today where I noticed it is 1888, so it's kind of been abandoned before that, but it's still marked on the map Bonsagart Croft. So yeah, let's go and see what's left of this history of Scotland. I hope I can get up this road okay. That's the main thing. I always come with like respect to landowners and farmers and people like that. Oh, I can actually see the next phase of my adventure. This road's not as long as what it looked like on the map. I need to go to the end of that track, and then where that gate is, I think I need to pretty much go straight ahead. Here we are folks, phase 2 of this adventure. I think this is actually the old track down there, which used to lead into this farm croft originally. I came into this field because it was so overgrown with bushes. So check it out folks, here's the first sign of the history, and look at the wee walls which at one time used to follow the edge of the road into this mad little settlement forgotten out here on the hill. There's actually a massive bird of prey. Wow, I can hear shooting. I need to watch out today because this is actually a Saturday and the states in Scotland are out shooting, but I think right now I'm directly at this croft, so hopefully I can just get this recorded in and out. You know how it is folks on this channel, crazy history week after week, unseen little spots, and right now on the video I'll actually include a little snippet, a little picture of the map so you get an idea of the site where I'm standing right now. So I'll follow it around here first. I've basically just come in here, but it looks like there's some cool history there and maybe old wall lines and stuff. And then there's been another wee building here, and then yeah, it's mad, that's been a little building with this wall line around it. But it looks to me like there's been some other main buildings around this corner. So let's follow the track a little bit further, see what we can actually see around here. Just imagine the old horse and cart back in the days folks, trundling around here. Wow, and then look, you can just imagine behind when there was actually a little building there. Such a special scene. Nowadays just completely forgotten. Still grazing lands and still seen by the people kicking about here on the farm and whatnot, but it's cool on the videos to come here and imagine it in its original form as an individual little croft here on the land. Bonsagart. Yeah, look, here's more buildings right here folks. Wow, there's loads of buildings in this area. This would have been the main hub of the actual farm itself, I believe, originally. And there was even a pond down there. In the original map it's shown as lower boglands, and it's still the same to this day. So I'm thinking potentially, now I'm on site here, that would have maybe been the farmhouse there with its little wall around it, and then these would have potentially been the old farm buildings. Wow, there's a lot of rabbits running about here. This was maybe the old cart shed or whatever. You can see the opening at the front. It's been a fair size of a site. It's often amazing once you actually come to a place like, and you're actually seeing it for yourself, like it just comes to life, and you can imagine each of these buildings. At one time, look, the buildings have been here right to the edge of this track, and just think what cart wheels may have clattered off this wall at one time, or think of the days and nights since this thing was abandoned. Look at the fine stonework on the corner there. sandstone and any other types of stone that they would have gathered probably from the surrounding areas. So much of these sites was obviously demolished and destroyed over the years, and what we can see today is like the faint remains of history that's left just to tell the last story of a place like this in the lands of Scotland. So interesting. A lot of this building here has been taken away, and I think it's been kind of quarried and dug out at a certain time. Oh, that's maybe the wet boggy hole that I was seeing on the old map. The track used to go down to that. Maybe even an old duck pond or a fishing pond at a certain time for the croft. And then there is a road continues off up that way, and I believe there's actually another old forgotten croft as well from an ancient time. But today this is the one here, Bonsagart Croft. Yeah, look at the form of this wall right here. This one's in a really poor state, but this building here, it looks so cool. And look, it's had an extra little bit out here, like part of a shed wall. An old bit of a building. Wow, I love a site like this. Probably at one time such a hustling, bustling, thriving place. And then from a certain day it was just abandoned and forgotten. These little places, just the stones is all that's left, like finding a skeleton in the ground of a human. Look at this here. It's like there's been something built at this particular area against the wall. Maybe a wee shed or a wee hut for storage. Maybe when the field was like full of livestock they would get a bit of shelter in there. And then you can imagine these buildings standing all the way around here. There would have been constructions. I'm going to take a look at the far side where we came in at that path. I'm not actually seeing an old mill shed or a water wheel, so I'm not sure how much more stuff was maybe lost at that side. Let's take a look. This has been a small little end wall as well at this place. Yeah, it's sometimes interesting just trying to piece it together in your mind, the layout of the farm, where the buildings were. And yeah, these were all proper. In the 1800s, a couple of these small buildings here did actually have like still a bit of a roof on them. Look, there's even more over here. That's been a full-sized building within that area. There we go, folks, let's take a look. What do we have here? Probably old animal sheds. Look at this side, it's all built up and levelled. Again, that's like a level foundation up there, and even you could imagine if there's been wooden sheds at these sites, how far like rotted away they would be. You wouldn't even have a trace of them at all nowadays, if this is all that's left of the stone. An interesting thing, you can see the limestone mortar, and most commonly that washes out with the wet, stormy environments in Scotland, but a lot of the time that was originally cooked up on site in these places. But that's a real decent bit of wall right there compared to everything else that we're seeing here so far. Yeah, this is a thick, strong wall. Look, here's one of the original entrances, I believe, into the shed. So let's head in and see what's here. Yeah, the walls are really thick, probably, I would say like 2 foot thick here. And that's been a bigger building, I believe, that's been completely demolished. And even right here, like, you see the size of these buildings. It's been a fair old farm in its day. It's quite a cool layout on this croft. I was just thinking, like, if you imagine where I came in on the original road, there had been the buildings and the sheds, and it's kind of all at different levels. Little different, like, zones of the farm. And look, even at this side, there's been another outline of a wall. Pretty faint nowadays, but a lot of this stuff, you're talking 1700s and stuff, that's normally the time frame we're dealing with a lot of these crofts. And then sometimes they were still okay into like the 1800s, some of them, and then some of the modern farms to this day would have looked like this if they had been abandoned at a certain time in their life. And look how this track here leads down into this boggy hole, which can also be seen on the map. You can see it drawn like turf, which is interesting. Like, it's just a crazy little pond, I would call it. Maybe fishing and stuff. Maybe at one time dug out deeper, whereas now it looks all like there's a lot of vegetation and stuff growing in it. I'll put another picture of the map on here so we can kind of have a look at this, and you'll be able to see where it is. You can see the wee road and stuff leading down to the boggy section in the corner of the croft. so on the map it also doesn't show a lot. There's definitely been these buildings here by the looks of it, and the furthest away bit where we can see the wall with the excellent limestone mortar, that's been the part that did have a roof in the 1800s. I believe that was a finer construction in its day. Yeah, this is almost just like the outline here of the farmyard, and then all these buildings has been at each side, but there's like no sign of there ever being buildings at the other side of there either. It's been more like a yard where we see the wall kind of at the edge of that levelled area. Wow, everything was made of stone back in the day, folks. There would have been no fence or boundary line around here originally. So once again now we've come away from the main farm buildings up here. Imagine trundling your way down here with a horse and cart. You can maybe see the smoke coming out the chimney of the wee cottage there. And nowadays it is just history almost forgotten. Each year, obviously, the livestock and stuff walk about on this. But it's not only that, the grass and vegetation actually cover up a lot of the history in Scotland. It's just a natural thing. A lot of the time nature just covers things over. Look at the size of some of these stones, maybe moved off the land at a certain time. Yeah, this is a cool bit here. It's like a bit properly built, like a wall. I'm not sure, the field boundary probably had a little gate there of some sort. And then this seems to be the actual garden boundary. Look at the quartz seams through that stone. The curve and wave. We see that a lot in our adventures, the buildings and constructions using that quartz out of the ground. Look at the size of these perimeter stones here on the little farm complex. I believe this has been the wee farmhouse, so let's take a closer look. It would make sense because it looks like there's actually a freshwater stream rolling its way past there in the land. Yeah, check it out, this is amazing. Look at the rectangle of this. Look at the construction. Nowadays most of the limestone mortar sadly washed out, whereas at one time obviously it's been a grand structure. Sometimes these had like thatched like natural roofs, sometimes using some of the different stuff they had lying about in Scotland to make their roofs, but then later on they had stone slab roofs on their houses. And then more recently, into the 18 and 1900s, obviously the slates came on the go on the roofs. Like you would still get to modern day. Nowadays it's almost starting to phase out as well. Yeah, just check it out and imagine at one time somebody's probably been sitting in here, maybe discussing the goings on of their little farm. Bonsagart. I like to say the name of the croft as I walk through it. It keeps the memory alive. Wow, it's so amazing that each of these crofts I visit, they're all at a different level of decay, but they've all got a little story to tell of history in a certain area. And at one time in Scotland, the crofter was the main kind of boy. Everybody was crofters, just living with a little bit of land. And you can see it here with places like this. There's just so many. Modern maps won't even show a place like this, most likely. So it's cool to hit here on the channel and tick off another little piece of Scottish history. It is often a bit scary when you think, oh, will I be able to get in there? And then I think, oh, that road looks like a farm road. I never want to be poking about and going up private roads, but sometimes once you get there and you can see the history and put it on the video, it's just amazing. And each one, it's like totally different. Obviously the crofts are designed to fit within the piece of land that they were built. Over at the far side, I'm actually seeing like stones, but I think they're maybe piled up over there at the edge of the field. If I hadn't heard shooting today, I would have probably punched on further up that track. I think in the future I'll probably come back, maybe even with Highlander one day, and we'll go up, because there's more crofts or abandoned remains down there. But it's amazing today, the stuff I've seen here. Another interesting thing, a lot of these bigger stones on these walls don't match the same as the other boundary walls, so it's like this was built first. There was a house and a boundary wall here originally, and then all that other stuff was gradually built and constructed onto this site, making it the farm we can see abandoned in the 1800s. Bonsagart, folks. Yeah, look, there's been a wee bridge here over this stream. the stream that comes down through the land. It doesn't actually show on the old map either, this waterway. Wow, I love it. I always say wow, but it's because it kind of, I'm blown away by the history of, and standing in a place like this, it's like never seen on YouTube probably, certainly never seen on this channel. Yeah, look here, here's more of these old buildings. Yeah, let me think what this is. Oh, it's in line with the house, so this does show on the old map as an enclosure or a building. Yeah, even in the 1800s this had no roof, but it is a square shape, and I believe originally this has been a small building with a roof. And then in front of this building there's actually a triangle shaped wall here, which can't really be seen because of the overgrowth and the vegetation, just with those massive bushes. So it's probably been a shed here, and then some type of animal's been able to run about in that triangular enclosure. Yeah, it's cool to come to the sites and like try and guess what I'm seeing with each building and try and put my own perspective into it. Once again, at the corner of this rectangular building there's a big heap of stones, but it's hard to tell if they've been moved or dumped from another place. I believe these big stone boundary wall lines as well are probably the most original ones, and probably the original croft was just down here, quite a small setup with a house and then this area here, and then as time progressed and evolved it was made larger. Yeah, that is the freshwater stream there then that goes round in front of the house, so it is actually kind of on the map, but it doesn't really show up coming down from that direction. Yeah, definitely here folks, look, there's been more buildings, so there should really be a few squares on the old map here, whereas there's only one rectangle at this side of the map in line with where I'm saying the farmhouse was. But look right here, so I would say there's been a whole heap of sheds here in a row. Look at this, you can see the clear outline of the wall here, built differently from a dry stone dike which would have just been a field. Look at the shape of the stone. Think how long ago the person laid that stone in there. It's like there's been a track going out that way into the field beyond this area. Wow, what a fun adventure this has been. I was just seeing what field this was. Wow, I can see there's a horse total galloping and stuff way down there. I could probably actually, instead of going the way I came, I could literally just go down to the corner of this field, because I think we've looked at most of the details of this croft and we've told the story of it. Bonsagart Croft, and I love it on the channel. Each week we're coming to these different places that we've never seen before, never explored, and it's just so much fun telling the story of the history from each glen. Over the years we cover so much, and today it was this. It's not always crofts, but sometimes it's fun. Certain times of year, if you get the chance, you have to go to certain things, so it can end up being you get a few crofts in a row, or it's just whatever. It's spontaneous adventures on my channel folks. When I woke up this morning I did not even realise I would be seeing Bonsagart Croft, because I didn't even know it existed. Look at this, you can see the back wall here of the enclosure, and that stream kind of makes its way in, and then we saw the original track coming in as well along that far end. On the old maps all that equestrian area and stuff doesn't even exist, and I think this road which came out of the croft this way, it appears to have not even gone to the main road, but it's maybe because that was abandoned by the time my 1800s map was actually created. Wow, what a view looking up the glen here towards the Glen-esque direction. Scotland's just so much fun to have wee adventures like this in folks. Anyway, I need to be low key here and kind of get past this equestrian centre without upsetting anybody. So I'm actually walking on the old track now folks. I've still not gotten to the equestrian bit because I just realised if I was in the field I was at the wrong side of the little burn, so I had to make a wee crossing. But then I was just looking at how level it is. You can often see from the land where things were back in the olden days. Now it just looks like a wee track, but at one time a proper road. Man-made, carving such wild lands, shaping them for the use of the old farms. It's good to see now it's obviously still grazing lands, and a lot of it's equestrian lands as well, which is cool. So check it out folks, we've safely made it back to the main road where we started this video, and that was such a cool wee adventure. I had to infiltrate the perimeter to get through there and to actually see the history. And like I think I said already on the video, I always come with respect for like landowners and farmers. I'm just literally punching straight through to see the history, and then I'm on my way. And I'm obviously never like damaging fences and things like that, because I grew up in the countryside, and I know how countryside operations are, folks. You always have to come with respect of people's property and land. The cool thing on this channel is just putting the wee bits of history on camera that's almost forgotten. You see it here on the channel without having to go traipsing in there yourself often, or sometimes it's little areas that's quite difficult to get to, and it's fun going to see them before they have disappeared forever. Today's piece of history has been called Bonsagart Croft. Bonsagart Croft. You'll see it on the map. I include a few little pictures from the map, and it's interesting just to keep every week showing off and like these things that's almost gone. I've already said it on the video, but yeah, Bonsagart's been a fun wee adventure. I had to go through some new landscape to get to the old landscape, and the track I went down didn't even exist, I don't think, back at the early times when this map was made. So yeah, it's interesting, folks. Anyway, what an amazing view. You can see actual smoke in the far hills, and that's from burning heather up Glenesk, and like see a few days this week in Brecon and certain other areas of Angus. The smoke was so bad, like you can't describe it. It was proper smog. I could hardly see the house like down the road for mine, and I thought it had disappeared, folks, when I looked at the window. Anyway, I'm going to end this one here. It's been a cool wee adventure. We've documented some history never seen before on the channel, maybe never seen on YouTube. An amazing little farm croft with a tale to tell. I believe it's a farm croft with two eras, a more ancient section and a more modern section higher up. So yeah, that's interesting to theorise of these things as well. But yeah, I'll end this one here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon for the next one, wherever I end up going.